Spencer Lazar at MMA Interviews. I am alongside a legend, Mr. Stitch Duran, fresh off of this drama going on with the UFC a little bit, man. You were released for some comments you made about the Reebok deal. Can you just give us an overview of your perspective and your kind of timeline of how things went down?
Well, that's already water under the bridge, man. You know, it's more of me being here and supporting Race F1, the World Series of Fighting and all that. But, you know, the support that I've gotten from the fans, the media guys like yourself, the fighters and all that, that's really what my topic is about nowadays. You know, what happened with the UFC when they let me go because I spoke the truth. You know, the Cutman, myself, and primarily were losing our sponsors, and they wanted us to go Reebok without getting compensated, and there was no opportunity for change. So I had to speak up as I did, as representing all the Cutman, and got the backlash on that.
And you've been doing it for so long. I mean, you're clearly one of the guys who I'd safe to say has the most sponsors. So, I mean, I guess it probably affects you maybe as much or more than anybody. But, you know, you did come out and stand up for yourself. Is there any disappointment that others kind of didn't back you, that were Cutman sort of, you know, were as vocal about it? Or how does that, you know, see?
No, you know, that's fine. You know, just like the fighters, everybody at this point under this program, they have to be politically correct. So I was the one that I came forward and I spoke for everybody. So, you know, they've all called me personally, you know, and they, you know, I'm proud of what I did, but no, I'm not gonna, as I say, throw them under the bus and include them with me. I think as a mouthpiece, I can speak for everybody.
And, you know, everybody knows you. You're a boxing fan, you're an MMA fan, everybody knows who you are. But safe to say that you haven't lined your pockets through sponsorships all throughout these years or working in the sports all these years. We were just talking about it. We do it for love. So, I mean, but at the same time, there comes a point, like you said, your wife, you got to pay the bills, you know, you have this stuff. So, I mean, talk about that and finding that balance and doing it for the love and being able to obviously sustain yourself is something important.
Well, you know, especially at this stage of my career, Spencer. I mean, I've been doing this 30 years. There's been many, many years where, like I said, my wife's saying, you got to get a job because this isn't paying the bills, but that love that you have doing what you do, what I have, you know, that's what the drive was. But, you know, I think I've gotten to the point where I deserve to be fairly compensated and you know, working with the caliber of fighters that I work with and then giving them that opportunity to win fights. I mean, I paid a lot of money for a lot of fighters by keeping them in the game. Robbie Lawler, one of them. You know, I mean, as bad as that cut was on his lip, was definitely bad enough to get stopped. You know, people don't realize, but he had like a 4-inch cut on top of his head that I controlled immediately. So, you know, those are two really situations where a fight could have been stopped. You know, Robbie did a tremendous job and doing what he did and defending his title. And, you know, now he's making money in the future.
What can you talk about the state of boxing and the state of MMA differences, you know, especially as boxing grew and changed and MMA is still young and growing, you know, just talk about that.
Well, you know, years ago I produced a documentary called Boxer's Nightmare, and I tried to show it to the Don Kings, the Bob Arons, the Showtime, the HBO. They didn't have nothing to do with it because it dealt with how can we fix the sport of boxing. You know, Mike Tyson, I interviewed him, and he said, you know, look at me, I lost over $100 million. And what do you tell your family? What do you tell your wife? Because that's what makes the fighter punch them. So that was the era then, and, you know, I still have it in the shelf, and maybe I'll bring it out. But it seems that the mixed martial arts world is going towards that same direction. And, you know, when I first joined Zuffa, the UFC, I was really glad to do it because they had implemented like 33, 34 rules to make the game better with going forward opposed to the way it was. And, you know, and that still benefits. It is better in that department, but the mechanics and the political sides of it have turned a little bit towards boxing.
Yeah, I mean, we've never seen a uniform type deal going on in boxing, or fighters not being able to wear, you know, certain sponsors and do that stuff. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, how does that, you know, sit with you?
Well, you know, I think, you know, number one, we're an entity and we are a marketing tool and we are on TV all the time. And, you know, I would hope that sponsors would consider, you know, putting something on these fighters, you know, putting something on the cut man because we are, when the times come, and you know, whenever a sponsor hires you, they hire you for two purposes. Number one, to represent their product on TV, the maximum exposure, and then to represent their product at the highest level. And I think I'm capable of doing that.
Definitely. A little bit of history. Talk to us about some of the most memorable fights, most memorable nights of your entire career.
Man, I tell you, we can sit here for hours.
Yeah,
If you got hours, I got time, man. But, you know, one that really floats to the top is Wandy Silva when he fought Chuck Liddell. And what made that one so special, number one, was a brutal fight. I'm sitting there at the octagon side, and I could just hear these guys cracking each other with punches. And I'm working on Chuck Liddell's side, and he has a cut. I go work on it. And after the fights, I go to Chuck and I clean him up, and then I go check on my friend Wandy Silva. Leon Tabs was working on him at that point. But about a week before, I told Wandy, I said, Wandy, you know, good luck. It's my birthday. You know, I'm going to give you some good karma. Well, I go to him and I say, Wandy, how you feel? He goes, honestly, so I'm okay. Happy birthday. And I'm thinking, wow, man, this guy was just pulling the hardest battle over of his life. His face is deformed a little bit, swollen and all that. And he had the courtesy and the respect to say, happy birthday, Stitch. That's awesome. Crazy.
And mentality of fighters. Who are some of the strongest-minded guys maybe that you've had the pleasure with, that you just noticed, like, man, this guy has it?
You know, every time I work a fight, whether it's a big name or little name, I'm sitting there in the octagon and I'm thinking, man, I'm glad I'm old. Because, you know, these guys are taking shots and they're giving shots. And that's a manly thing, brother. I mean, for them to be doing that and then to smile and hug each other at the end of the fight, I'm looking and I'm thinking, you know what, these guys are good men. You know, I mean, these are guys that have really done something for the love of the game and have really excelled at what they do. And like I said, I'm glad I'm old.
Talk about boxing. I'm sure you started with boxing, right? I mean, you started as a boxing guy.
I started off in kickboxing first, and then I transitioned into boxing, and then, you know, came into the UFC when Dana White brought me on board to be the second cut man next to Leon Taz, which at that time, Leon Taz was in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, talk about that then. Just, you know, there's a lot of people, boxing purists, who look at MMA certain ways and whatnot. I mean, how are you able to really keep that open-mindedness and obviously have that and have a lot of respect for everything else that goes into an MMA fight?
Oh, I put a lot of these boxing guys in check. Early on in our careers with the mixed martial arts really starting to grow, everybody was talking about MMA this and MMA that. And, you know, guys that get paid and this and that. And I would put them in check. I said, no, you know what? These guys are athletes. To this point, these are the best athletes I've ever met in any kind of field. You know, so now as I go into fights, first thing they do in the dressing room, we're talking about MMA fights.
Nice.
Things have changed.
Give me a good Mike Tyson moment. It's got to be something that memorable like that.
Yeah, well, you know, there's we were always in the gym when Mike was training, and I would work with other fighters, and I was pretty good at doing hand pads, right? In fact, I would get hired to do that on a regular basis. So I said, you know, just one day I would love to do pads with Mike. Well, when he separated with his trainer, Panama Lewis took over before Freddie Roach came on board. And Panama Lewis, I used to work with Franco Bota and doing pads. Panama called us and said, hey, man, would you like to do pads with Mike? So I got in my car and I jumped, you know. So I ended up doing like 2 weeks worth of pads. And then Mike had to go back to D.C. because he was in a lawsuit with his wife or whatever. And he came back. Freddie Roach took over. But you can't get more memorable than that, to do pads with Mike Tyson.
Pretty safe to say the hardest hitter you held for?
No, I've held pads for a lot of heavy hitters. You know, I've done pads for Vladimir Klitschko, you know, and but yeah, Mike, you know, just that power, that short power, bam, was pretty exceptional.
Who's the best boxer of all time?
I don't know. Too many of them.
Top three? Throw some names.
Don't pick them, man. I don't pick them. I just work. Right? Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I was asked today.
Give it a go.
Yeah, I was asked that question today by Ballpark Brand on ESPN in Las Vegas, and I said, man, I'm gonna have to sit down and ponder that one because too many guys, too many legends. But
you know, they're in the hunt.
Oh no, absolutely. But you know, as great as he is, but you know, my last name is Duran, and not the reason why I like Roberto Duran. But Roberto Duran, Alexis Arguello were, for me, as tremendous Latino fighters, were always on top of the list.
Well, looking forward to World Series of Fighting Live Saturday night. Stitch will be working. Give this man his support on Twitter, Stitch Duran. Spencer Lazar, MMA interviews. Anything else you want to say?
No, you know, tune into World Series of Fighting. That's why I came. Gold from MMA Junkie Radio sent me a text as I was doing an interview, wanted to know if I was going to come to the press conference. And right after that, I shot over here. But, you know, I'm here to support the World Series of Fighting. Ray Suffolk, especially because he's been such a great character and an ambassador for the sport that when Ray asked me to work with him at this event, I jumped on it in a heartbeat. And it's great to work with some of the old fighters I worked with before and some of the new ones that I'll be working with Saturday night. So you guys here, thank you for the support, and really thank you guys for supporting the World Series of Fighting, because me being involved with them. So I'll see you guys Saturday night.
There you have it. Thanks for watching, guys.